Cool. Okay. So next up is somebody whom I have looked forward to in quite some time. I mean, we hear about recession in lots of places in the world, but probably one of the places that got recession track record is Greece. And if we talk about purpose and if we talk about doing good and sustainability, often when the economy is a little bit shaky, you choose to do the lazy thing, right? You know, profit, purpose, all that stuff. And one of the guys that have succeeded thriving in the Greece market and understands to push brands to care more is a great friend, Thanos Belalidis from Simpraxis. So give Thanos a great round of applause.
Hello everyone, can you hear me well? First of all, it's a great honor to be here with you today with big heroes of our time actually. I really appreciate being here, and please be a kind audience because I'm very ill, as you probably can hear, but I wouldn't miss in the world to be here, but probably that little Zumba session was a bit too much for me at the time being. So please be gentle as we go on. So, we are going to talk about sustainability in challenging economies, and which economy is most challenging in the time than the Greek market, where I work. And if you can make it in Greece, you can actually, I strongly believe that you can make it anywhere. So, why Greece then? As I said, is a country in recession for too many years so far. It's a country where CEOs have not that many reasons to really care about sustainability. Why should they? They have to pay their taxes, they have to keep their employees in place instead of letting them go. And I myself am a cost marketing fanatic, and I really appreciate the approach of Richard Branson saying in the future those that will survive, those companies that will survive are those that have a strong purpose. I really appreciate this, but what about all those countries around the world where things are not going as well as you would want them to be? So, at the end of the day, Greece is a social experiment, a true social experiment on whether we can truly make sustainability work in harsh environments. One other thing that I strongly believe, and this is the reason that I'm a cost marketing fanatic, is the fact that all of us working on sustainability, we need to find more ways to give back to the brand. We need to find more ways to contribute into profits. We need to find more ways to contribute in brand awareness, in employee loyalty. And I have been investigating these in the last 7 years in the Greek market. So, what is the Greek market? I don't know if you know the facts. I'm sure that you have heard them in the news. In the past years, 30% drop in GDP. This has never happened anywhere before in the past, to my belief. So, the numbers are not that friendly. Actually, I don't know if you realize that in Greece, since January, a brand has to pay about 50% of its income, not profits, in taxes. If you are a freelancer, for your taxes and your social security, you have to pay about 70% of your income, not profits. Does it sound crazy? Well, obviously, it's very crazy. So, how can one do sustainability in such harsh environments? And what happens to a society when the environment is so challenging, when it puts you in so much pressure for such a long time? The first thing that happens is we developed mistrust. We don't trust anyone. Greeks don't trust anyone. To start with, we don't trust each other. And it's very interesting to see the research that was actually discussed yesterday from GlobeScan. You will see that the facts have a lot of similarities with Turkey as well. To start with, commenting, it's actually pretty scary on its own respect, realizing that Greeks only trust the traditional foundations like the army, the church. They don't trust the Greek government, they don't trust the European Commission. Look at the data, they are extremely scary. They don't trust international institutions like the UN. But, funny enough, as it happens in Turkey, they trust Greek brands, even though I don't know what that really means in today's economic environment. So, What has happened within this really challenging environment? First of all, we got our data wrong. We started thinking on an impulsive manner. And why does this matter? It matters very much if you want to do sustainability and social contribution and you don't know where you really stand. This is the data from the World Food Programme that actually states that Greece is doing quite well food-wise. People are not starving. And on the same time, most of the Greek resources, social contribution resources in the last 7 years have been directed to food programs, instead of being directed to entrepreneurship, for example, and job creation, which is the major problem of a country where 50% of young people are unemployed. So wrong data brings wrong results, wrong sustainability and social contribution activities. Actually, I don't know if this makes sense, but in Greece we have a major obesity problem against young people, while we believe that we have a food shortage program. So, in this strange environment where Greeks don't trust anybody and they hate foreign corporations, on the same time, they will turn to the corporations for support. Why is that? Because the NGOs are collapsing, the third sector is collapsing, the public sector is not doing well at all. So, who you are going to call? The corporations. What did the corporations do in this environment? First of all our inadequacies surfaced. Many corporations didn't realize what CSR means, and they actually confused CSR with giving, with corporate giving. What else has happened? Too much stupid campaigns, too much greenwashing, social washing, which actually doesn't work, as you know well, and we will discuss in a moment. And there have been really stupid examples of corporations trying to do too little in order to get too much, and it didn't work. The most impressive example is from a Greek bank. They said that they are going to give €1 to a cause of their choice for everyone running in an Athens marathon, which sounded like a big campaign, like a very nice campaign, because tens of thousands of people run in the Athens marathon. But they forgot to say to the public that they will stop at €5,000. And what happened at the end of the day? People realized, and there has been tremendous trolling. This bank has been ridiculed unbelievably just because they tried to be clever, and it simply doesn't work. And at the same time, there have been a lot of brands that did a good job. They had to reorganize their resources to do a better job with less money. So to get this over with, those that wanted to do social washing and greenwashing, they didn't get much in return. They only damaged the sustainability and social contribution efforts. You have seen this slide in this room in several occasions before. We don't know that we know, but the center of our brain, our limbic brain, always knows if we are fooled with. And this has declined in the past years, and corporations realize that they cannot carry on expecting too much, doing too little. What else we have learned in the past few years from our corporations? First of all, we realized that doing only one or two major causes doesn't work either. People get social contribution fatigue. Why is this? If you hear all the time about food programs and all the time about children relief, at the end of the day, the public gets really fed up with this, because we are talking about 7 years that this is going on again and again, when we need to do stuff for the elder, for the unemployed, for the entrepreneurship, and people at the end of the day actually get bored. What else have we learned in Greece in this environment? That if you carry on in an approach that is not based in data, there may be consequences that you haven't realized. One of them is the almost collapse of the third sector, of the NGOs. The NGOs doesn't receive support anymore from the Greek state. They don't receive adequate support from the corporations. Only 4 or 5 do. What's the result? The third sector is dying. It hasn't been such a good idea either. So, it's not all negative, thank God. As I said, we have learned a lot within this amazing, to my understanding, social experiment about sustainability in Greece. There have been great practices and brands that realize that they can make things work in a different, proper, efficient way. Let's have a look at this video. It's all Greek to you, it doesn't matter. You will get the message. This is the Olympic Games facilities of 2004.
Δεν μας επηρεάζουν οι συνθήκες.
We don't get affected by the situations.
Δεν μας πτωούν οι αντιξότητες.
We don't mind the problems.
Είμαστε ανώτεροι των περιστάσεων.
We can do better than the circumstances.
Εμείς καθορίζουμε τη μοίρα μας.
We identify our purpose and future. This, just don't look at this slide for a moment. The previous Nike campaign is a campaign I love very much, and it gives me the opportunity to describe this. Greeks are an athletes nation, as you can imagine, the inventors of the Olympic Games. In the last Olympic Games, there were absolutely no resources from the Greek state for the Greek athletes. And what happened in this environment? Greeks got pissed off and angry with what was going on. And there have been about 40 corporations that supported Greek athletes. And the Greek team actually did extremely good in the Olympic Games. It was the sixth better in medals result, just because you don't achieve everything with money. There are other important resources that Nike realized, like human pride. You cannot be the ridicule of planet Earth for too many years, and thank God for the British and the Brexit and the American elections. Greeks are not the ridicule of the planet anymore. You need to have some pride about what you do and where you stand and how things are going. And a lot of corporations actually did a good job. They did get pride of their sustainability. They did get pride of their sustainability campaigns. This is the materiality matrix of Vodafone. You can see that the Greeks still care about important sustainability issues like energy efficiency and recycling. And there have been brands that made good use of this. Greeks love recycling. Okay, this is Deutsche Telekom Cosmote subsidiary. They made the biggest recycling program in the country with 8 waves of recycling, 10,000 people, 10,000 employees, and they didn't stop there. They got into the circular economy, and what was the result? Introducing refurbished equipment, they saved millions, and millions do matter, even in such big brands, just because they came in depth into a social campaign, into a sustainability campaign, the proper way, instead of trying to do it as a social washing. Value chain. You know, if you live in a country like Greece, paying taxes is not to be taken for granted. Actually, as we all know, it's not to be taken for granted if you are Starbucks or Apple, but in Greece, definitely paying taxes is one of the most important sustainability and social contribution things that you can do, as it is not firing people and having a social contribution program. This is a very successful campaign from Coca-Cola 3Epsilon that I really appreciated. So those that did a bad job were punished for that. Those that did a good job were rewarded for this in measurable KPIs, and I strongly believe that sustainability without KPIs doesn't make sense. Another campaign, school renovation from Coca-Cola 3Epsilon again. And what happened at the end of the day? You cannot see it here, but the shares of the video we produced for this campaign was 10 times more than the actual shares in the Coca-Cola 3Epsilon social media. 10 times more, because people can tell when you do a good job. Another great campaign, car recycling. When you have a country in collapse, the environmental regulations are not implemented very well, unfortunately. So what did this brand do? They make car recycling, and they made a cross-marketing campaign about car recycling, but before doing so, they had proper environmental regulations installed. And somehow, people realized this, and they supported this campaign, and very fast they became #1 in car recycling in the country. And we are talking about a multi-million corporation as well. The last project I want to describe, you know the one on the left, you don't know the one on the, you know the one on the right, you don't know the one on the left. The one on the left is a Greek supermarket brand. One of these is considered to be the top sustainability brand in the country in every research. Why is that? Because they have ethical employee regulations. They give more to their employees from what they expected. They didn't fire anyone. And quite recently, one of these brands consumed the other one. Which was that? The one on the left, the Greek one. Because I don't know, I cannot justify what the true reasons that this happened were. All I know is that the one on the left is appreciated in Greece as the most ethical corporation with the strongest CSR campaign. The one on the left, it doesn't have a website, it doesn't do advertising, not at all. All they do, they have a proper CSR campaign related mainly with their employees. So, what have I learned at the end of the day working in Greece, doing sustainability and social contribution and cause marketing? I learned everything that has been discussed in this room in the past few days. You have to get your stakeholders involved, and you have to make this in practice, not just claim that you do. In the past few years, we used a strong trick with the CEOs. You know, budgets are restricted, things are not going well, CEOs don't care about sustainability. What did we do to get their attention? We took them to the refugee camps to show them what is going on. We took them to the children relief shelters, and we got them to have a meal with the children staying there. No one can resist that. The same with company employees. We got them involved. This is another example that I love very much. Greece has a huge blood deficit. We don't have enough blood, so we import it from Switzerland, and we pay millions of euros. What did we do for this campaign? First of all, we didn't use all the blood stereotypes based on red color just because Greeks are afraid of blood. And it doesn't make sense. There is nothing red, only humans caring for humans, because at the end of the day, we are humans. What was the result? 18% increase of blood donation. That was about 7% of the blood deficit that we have in the country, just because we got people involved. And we ran a campaign the way people can perceive it. Every year I have access to about 40 sustainability reports. They are about 100 pages each. I find it extremely boring reading them because they say the same things again and again and again. This is the Athens airport. It has the higher taxes in Europe, probably in the world, more taxes than Denmark even. But they have a fantastic sustainability reporting, just 8 pages, that they say the facts. I believe that all of us working in sustainability, we say too much. And we forget that people are people. And we forget to present the facts. All their infographics are like this. They put their facts where their mouth is, and they say, in the last 10 years, my CO2 emissions have been lowered to this respect. And people can understand. And this is a very loved airport as well, even though taxes to fly are extremely high. So, at the end of the day, all these things, you have heard them a million times before, just a repetition related to the Greek market. We have to have a vision. And in challenging economies, people, CEOs and CFOs will not help produce a vision. You can do it yourself if you are involved in sustainability. And maybe that vision will spread among people. Second, as I told you, Greece is an experiment of sustainability where we have realized that you cannot fool people. We have realized that you first need to story-do before you story-tell. What else have we realized? As you have seen from the Athens airport, you have to communicate your sustainability data on a PR fashion. Do it in a way that people can understand. Don't make it too complicated. And you can do so even in issues like energy efficiency or CO2 emissions. And what else have we learned? Emotion. There is nothing more powerful than emotion. And even emotions that we consider negative, like ego. ego made the Greek athletes flourish in the Rio Olympic Games. In Greece, in the past 15 years, when we needed to show you the images of the right, this is the result of climate change and improper beach use. We were showing the pictures on the left. I believe that this picture has created more damage than any demanding stakeholders that wanted profit. A false impression that we have some sort of power on planet Earth, which actually we do not at all. So, to conclude, we need to, in our work, focus on peer marketing, because this is what research says. You heard it from Semra yesterday. We need to focus on doing sustainability communication without budget, just by doing good work, as every data proves as well. And we need to use guerrilla marketing. I'm a guerrilla marketing fanatic as well. What you see on the right is actually toilet paper, that a brand put all their sustainability practices on the toilet papers that they sell. And I think it looks fantastic. And it's a great idea, and it doesn't cost at all. And everybody wants to be a hero, and every CEO, and they want to do so especially if you help them increase their sales. So even if I will get in conflict with the guys in the back, I'll play one last video as a reminder that we are human beings at the end of the day.
I've been sitting all alone.
This is a water company working with children that have cerebral palsy in the Greek crisis.
The clock is ticking, and tell me, would you want to kiss me? Hold me in your arms and squeeze me. If you knew I was a beast, but in the light, everything looks beautiful and bright. I can see no clouds up in the sky.
You can live your life as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live your life as if everything is a miracle, even in the Greek crisis. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.